It's Clark and Perry on the case. Da-na-na-na. Clark and Perry.
Do what it takes.
Da-na-na-na. Clark and Perry. Investigate.
The activities and interests of local artists in the Windy City's finest throughout both Lethbridge and Medicine Hat, Alberta. Available on TELUS, Optic TV, On Demand, VidFlex, YouTube, and more for limited time only. Terms and conditions apply.
Da-na-na-na.
Okay, well,
All right.
I'm very excited. I'm very excited to just try this out.
Okay, so I'll get it started for you. This is actually, the hardest part is to get it fixed to the wheel and centered
Centered.
adequately. And
Yeah.
so let's do this pat centering process where I'm pressing it into the wheel head.
I made sure to keep a couple air pockets in there just to test you, making sure that you're...
It's gotten a slightly dry actually in that amount of time too, so it's all right. We can still do this. I'm introducing that water back into it right now. It might work to your advantage actually. So pushing it down. I might have to do several more conings than normal, but it'll be fine.
For folks who may not be able to hear, you were hearing a lot of popping noises. A lot more.
A lot of air bubbles, I guess. Yeah. As soon as it starts to dry, then cracks form as you deform it, and that means air bubbles.
Right. So one thing I was going to ask is like the difference between the clay just drying, which is what's happening with your project over there, and putting it into the kiln. What does the kiln, I guess, do?
So the firing process is actually taking the silica that's in the material and vitrifying it, or turning it to glass, basically.
That's an amazing term I'm going to use a
and-
lot more often than you think I'm going to.
That's
Vitrification.
yeah, vitrification is the
Okay.
process of these mineral materials becoming a glass material.
And that just kind of hardens the surface more?
Hardens
or-
it and makes it basically non-porous afterwards.
Ah,
Yeah.
okay.
So if you take beach sand, for instance, a lot of beach sand is mostly silica. And you can get a lot of glass out of that kind of sand.
That makes sense. I don't know these processes. This is the best.
So I'm just about finished centering it. Feels pretty good. Then remember when you're working it, try to get your hands braced into your thighs and your body, and by that doing so, you decrease your hands wandering.
Okay.
As you're throwing, you want to keep it
nice and stable.
and stable,
One
yeah.
spot. Okay. Okay.
Because it's this fairly quick circular motion. Okay, so that's your starting point right there.
Okay.
So now
Oh, my
you
goodness.
get the start.
It's time.
Yeah, it's time.
I would just like to say, prepare to be disappointed.
Okay. So I like to hold the sponge like this
Okay.
in my hand, so that there's some surface contact of it, and you want to wet your hands, so dip your hands in the bucket and get them all wet all the way up to your wrist. Yeah. And there you go. Let's add.
Okay.
your
Just
hand.
like that.
Just
Okay.
a little bit of water. There we go.
Wow.
Yeah. And now you're ready to start.
Okay. All right.
Okay. So the first order of business is trying to drive that wedge-shaped hole down the center. So get both thumbs in there. Put your hands along the sides of the thing. Yeah.
Okay. I'm just
You can go
figuring out the gas pedal
Right.
now.
Yeah. You could go fairly quickly at this stage.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. You don't have to worry about, because it's very stable and strong
Well,
in that
that's-
form.
Well, we're making good use of the apron already. That's perfect.
So you might want to clean up some of the excess clay here so
Okay.
that you don't get quite as much splatter. But yeah, there you go.
Okay, sweet. So then it's very much like a V. Like
Yes.
A V.
Go downwards in a V, like.
And are you using this sponge as well too? Or is
Yes,
it
on the
more
outside, because that's what gives you that lubrication.
that
For your hand.
lubrication?
You want to get your hands in there too. Yeah, there you
Yep.
go. That stabilizes your hand. You get right to your palms, yeah. And then dig your thumbs both down at the same time, as centered as you can, so that they're not moving. Yeah. And down, drive it down, drive it down. Try to push it down so that there's maybe a centimeter between your thumbs and the wheel head.
Okay. gonna try to do that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
Keep your hands
maybe
still.
give myself a little bit more water.
Okay,
It's
yeah.
sticking to myself
Oh,
quite
yeah.
a lot.
Yeah, that
There
should
we
be
go.
enough for
Okay.
now. Yeah.
Let's try this out again. All right. Be generous. Be generous. I keep having to tell myself that. Be generous. Going for a V.
Yeah. Focus on the center. Push the sides in slightly. Push the sides in. You want to make a mountain at first because you don't want the top part flaring outward and controlled. Yeah. So you want to pull the top in a little.
Pull the top in a little bit?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Keep pushing down. You go down a little bit more about there. Yeah.
Okay.
Stop there. Sounds good.
Sweet.
Now the idea is, as you could put your right hand on the side here.
Okay.
You could even bring it in a little bit more, like so. Keep turning it.
Okay.
Keep turning it and pull the sides in. Get your thumbs in the center as well on the inside, and use all those points of contact as a way of stabilizing your hands so that they're not shaking.
Right.
Yeah. And then pull in. Yeah, a little bit more. There you go. Yeah. And I guess a good starting point is to try and pinch it so that it's about 1 centimeter at first. Right now it's probably 1.5 inches thick or so. Try to, not all at once.
Not all at once.
Not all at once, yeah. It's a gradual thing. More gradually you do it, the smoother it is. But if you do it too slow, then it absorbs all this water too, right? So, yeah, slow the wheel down at the top.
Slow the wheel down at the top.
At the bottom, you can go fairly quickly. Need a little bit more water.
Oh, you're awesome. And slow it a little further at the top.
Yeah.
At the top.
And you might want to pull in the top even slightly again. So each time you do it, you bring it in. Again, slowly. Don't do it all at once. Yeah, nice and gradually.
Okay. Yeah. Excellent. Wow. Wow. It is like holding a newborn baby.
And you want to clean up the top a bit. So run one, like hook a finger over the top and clean up the excess.
Okay.
Yeah. Try to smooth it out, like over the whole rim. Yeah. Take a sponge. You got some excess moisture at the base there.
There we go.
Clean that up.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna do what you did too.
Okay.
Just wick all this, all this material.
Yeah, you just go like this and dump it into the pan
just
there.
off to the side.
Yeah.
Wow.
We'll recycle that material. So
that's neat.
We'll eventually dry it out and then make more clay stuff out of it.
Nice.
So, yeah.
And the process starts
all over again. Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's try to this one more. Okay.
Yep.
Bring it in.
Keep it spinning. Yeah.
Keep it spinning.
Never apply pressure until it's spinning slightly. Yeah. There we go.
Excellent.
Try to make a straight-sided cylinder to start with. That's always a good starting point.
And you slow down. I get so excited.
So
I speed it up.
I notice your elbows are elevated off your thighs, so it's just like free floating, right? And that's not what you want. You want to be able to brace everything as you bring it up. I become very aware of the gas pedal and slowing it down as I get close to the top. As you get experience, I've seen experienced potters, they don't need to brace anything. They can throw like this. Their arms are kind of stiff. They know how to hold it without bracing it against anything. This is okay. Yeah, you got something there. I don't mind the shape. That's not bad. I actually don't mind the shape. That's actually really good for your first time. Nice. Like I said, I've mastered every single one. People who don't believe me need to watch the rest of the episodes. That is well done for your first time throwing. That is amazing. Yeah. And it feels, and I can definitely tell when it's too dry as well too. It's very like I start to feel that friction, like you said. Would you like me to finish it off a little? Okay. All right. Let me step in and finish it. I would love to see you do this again. Okay. I'm going to just quickly rinse these off as well too. Yep. And just use this to clean. Probably had a lot of material just on my hands as well too. That's beautiful. So what is the next step for you, at least? Like for me, I would say continue to not allow this to flare outward.
Excellent.
The more it
Yeah.
flares outward from the base, the more difficult it is to control it.
I wanted to test you. Good.
Unless you make a bowl. And then a bowl has to flare outward, right?
I mean, yeah,
So,
I was going for like, you know, a change dish or something like that.
So, yeah, try to brace myself, pull it in a bit. In the process of pulling it in, I can make it a little bit more symmetrical again. I could feel some air bubbles.
Still popping noises.
Yeah, there's still a few air bubbles popping in there. So I gotta mitigate that a bit. You can use a pen tool and control that, but I'm gonna also go a little closer to the wheel head. Try to engage a little more material that's thicker around the base.
Really smooth movements.
Yeah, slow and patient. Oh, I could feel a lot of air bubbles actually in this one. I think we let it get a little too dry in the whole process there, where we were waiting. It's all right.
I mean, conversation just kind of takes over, and there are many reasons why, you know, maybe I just need to pay more attention. When it came to the slapping, like all of this entire process has been so fun for me, just learning it. What exactly, like, what is the most enjoyable part of the process for you?
It's definitely this building process, this throwing on the wheel, this sort of raising this structure out of this lump of clay, this very primordial material, I guess.
Adapting to what it's giving you as well too.
Yeah. It's something I find really appealing about the idea of working with the earth, so to speak, right? And even when you're making a bowl, you don't want to flare it out too much too early, because as you throw, it will want to sag on you. I've seen people make actually really large bowls upside down on the wheel head.
What?
Yeah, so what they do is they pull all the material out into a ring. So it's a big ring. If they're making a bowl with a top ring that's that wide, that's where they pull it out to. And then they pull this way.
Wow. So they kind of cone it off like I saw you just doing.
And then they seal the top off with a slab of clay or like a circle that they add to the bottom. So yeah, there's all sorts of different ways to do it. You could just pull it so that it all connects at the top afterwards. And then after it's dried a little bit, then you can flip it upside down.
And then work with it that way.
Work on the inside as well to smooth it out.
That's awesome. I really appreciate you kind of just breaking this all down with us. This isn't your first time kind of teaching, has it? Or presenting as well too?
No, I've done a little bit of teaching as well. There's a lot of improv moments in the studio where somebody's asking a question and I like showing them what I do anyways. The thing is, everybody's hands, strength, size of their limbs, and their reach is different. So everybody ultimately ends up figuring things out for themselves.
Yeah.
But, you know, still many basic rules will apply. And so here, just going to clean up the surfaces a bit, clean up the rim, so it's nice and symmetrical. And then I'll use the rib. Put it in here. So again, clean up all the excess moisture a bit on the outside, smooth it up a bit. And once I've taken off the first layer of slip on the outside, I will go to the inside, because I'm going to make a bowl now. And slowly bow things outward. And I mean, bowls will come in all sorts of sizes and shapes. I see a lot of functional ware being quite widely open at the top anyways. I like kind of a deep dish deep bowl.
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
something about it that for me is just satisfying, aesthetically.
I do agree with that as well too. It gives me the sensation that there's a lot definitely in it.
Mm.
I was definitely one of those kids that seeing a very big, a tall glass would convince me it had more than say,
Ice
a
cream
very
bowls.
wide one. Yes, yeah.
So,
very
yeah.
important for cookies and ice cream and any other good things in there.
Yeah. So, but I find these are kind of reminiscent to miso soup bowls that I used to eat out of when I was a kid, a little bit. Probably a lot deeper though.
Perry liked that one.
So yeah, you over time you sort of develop a slight X-ray vision. I feel like right? You know how much material you have there before it hits the wheel. It's always good to. I like to have about a centimeter or so at the bottom.
Right.
And that usually gives ample space for trimming afterwards and cleaning things up.
Yeah.
A lot of people look at it. It's like experienced potters will say, centimeter, that's too much. But actually, I like having that excess material.
Again, it's good to have a very strong base, like you said. Then it's good to have too much than not enough in those situations.
And I often add, I carve in a fairly thick foot at the bottom, so that ring at the base that you carve in afterwards. So if you have a centimeter, it's easy to take a half centimeter off and still have plenty of bottom there.
Yeah. So what would be the most amount of clay you've ever thrown?
Oh, in one go,
in one go.
Not counting stages or that partitioned way of building things.
Yeah.
Probably about 25 pounds.
25 pounds. And for context, what were we just throwing right
So this is about maybe 1.5 pounds.
You've got to be kidding me.
So yeah.
What did you make out of that?
Well, I mean, you also got to consider as you make the bigger things, it has to be thicker and thicker. So as you get to this thing that's this big, it's usually about this thick, at least, or more than that, right?
That was a very big bowl.
If you're throwing it, it got to be about maybe yay big, right?
Yeah.
So it's not proportional. Like 25 times this doesn't add up to 25 times this height.
Right. Yeah,
because it is so much thicker. All the clay goes into the building the walls.
Gary calling me out on my glass being very tall, thinking, yeah, I get that. Yep, no, 100%.
Yeah, so I wish you could build something as easily, like 25 times bigger, just by increasing the mass of the clay, but it doesn't really work that way.
So describe to me, what was that project that you were throwing?
I think I was just challenging myself one day to try and throw.
How much can I do?
How much can I do? Yeah. Also, I had a lot of clay that I wanted to get rid of so that I could start on a new batch of clay.
Yeah. Well, because that was one thing that we talked about as well too, is there, I didn't realize this, but there's clay contamination.
Yes.
Like what does, I would have thought that happy accidents would have happened. Oh, a little bit of red clay mixed in with my white clay or something.
So porcelain, being that pure white color, is very easily affected by colored contamination. So if I like using red clay, it's a very hardy material to use, but if it contaminates your porcelain clay, it can stain things very in a very obvious way, right? So right now I'm still in the process of smoothing this out, trying to clear up some of the irregularity.
I probably threw that in just to test you as well too. Just a few extra lumps or so. Yeah. You're doing very good.
Okay.
No, this is amazing. What were some of the biggest tips that you received when first getting into clay pottery?
The best tips, maybe?
Yeah, the best tips.
Best tips for it. Just keep at it. Keep working. I mean, the only way you'll improve with throwing on a wheel is just continued experience with the material.
And practice makes perfect.
So much there that you can't really sit there and measure the things and differences while you're doing it. It's just it's totally by feel. So a lot of the formation is just an intuitive thing. I found that I was able to throw fairly quickly, fairly early on.
Yeah.
But again, far different. I've improved leaps and bounds in 5 years from that first time. But still, it's that initial contact and sense of the material. I felt I had, some affinity for it, and that's really helpful. It helps to build your confidence, and once you've got a developed a sort of sense of I could do this. This idea that you could do it. You're always encouraging yourself to try bigger and different shapes,
and more, right?
And more, simply more. Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing.
So, still a little bit wobbly, you can see.
Yeah, I can just see a little bit of
It's
just smoothing around still.
You can do it too much though. It's this what I'm doing right now can be termed as milling.
Is milling
the vessel, right? So I'm polishing and I'm cleaning it up. I'm making it more symmetrical.
Right.
And a lot of times I will make a bowl like this and just leave it round without deforming it. Sometimes I'll do the 4-point deformation.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'll use my hands on it. But there is the functional aspect of washing or eating out of a bowl that if it's bumpy on the inside, it makes it difficult to eat out of.
That's
slightly
a fair point,
awkward sometimes,
Yeah.
or difficult to wash even. So that is a consideration, but a lot of times I'll do both. I'll play with both. I'm still kind of at the stage that I'm experimenting with the forms to decide what makes the most sense. Does it make sense to sacrifice a little bit of functionality for this aesthetic thing? And sometimes, not sometimes, all the time, I'm also thinking about how grippable is the object.
Right. Yeah.
Is this making it easier to hold? Is it going to make it more difficult to drop if you hold it? And usually it is, right? If you add texture to a surface, it's easier to grip. It won't slip out of your hands as easily, right?
Yeah.
And so, that's always a consideration.
Because you make this for people as well, right?
Oh, absolutely. Like if people weren't eating or drinking out of it, I'd feel like I was missing the point. Right? Some people will say, "Oh, it's art." That they put it up on a shelf and it gathers dust in their house, and I don't feel like that's what I want to happen with the work. I want people to sort of feel familiar with it, that it becomes a regular part of their lives. And in that sense, I feel like I'm reaching some kind of a communication with them.
Yeah.
Even in my physical absence, there's something left of me within the pot.
Well, this has been so amazing, just kind of delving into the deep depths of this. I'm going to call it deep depths. I've learned so much, and thank you again so much for just kind of giving us the time to show us the entire process as well too. I also just want to know, just for the sake of our viewers as well too, when can we expect your next work?
Well, I hope to do another firing in about a month's time or so. And I have a bunch of tall pieces that I hope to have in that firing. So probably by September, I'll have a new batch of materials to look at.
Okay, and you have an Instagram handle as well too.
I do,
Please, for our viewers.
And if you want to see some of my actual pieces that I have, like, would you like to go look at them, or how?
Yeah, let's do this. I think we need to see some finished products as well too. I'm very excited.
Are we gonna go pause for a second? This is gonna take a couple minutes here to bring it in, but a minute.
Let's go for a walk.
Okay. TV crew covered it.
I feel like he's an all-star, walking celebrity right now. Amazing.
This is the most recent firing.
This absolutely makes sense. I do have to compliment that. That's so good. And this was recent, eh?
This is the most recent firing. So pieces of all sizes, I guess. And eventually those pieces there and the ones that you see on the back wall on the top shelf there.
I'm about to say, I was going to say, I see so many different handprints.
Yeah.
Are these all of yours? Or?
Pretty much, yeah.
Oh my goodness.
At the top anyways, yeah. If it has a handprint, it's probably mine.
Let me be probably the first to tell you to say, you spend way too much time here. Oh, that is amazing.
Yeah, and I would argue I don't spend enough time here. That's how much I love this stuff. But,
I'm interested to know as well too. So, do I see like differing materials here, or
yes.
is this?
So
okay.
this is polar ice, and then there's a flaw here. There's a crack on the bottom, but it is still waterproof because the crack hasn't gone through. The glaze actually sealed the surface, and on the inside it's fine.
Very nice. Very nice.
Yeah. So I was thinking maybe I would find there is a ceramic filler material you can use to fill in things like that, and I might do that. This is not polarized, and so the difference is here. I've got a light I could show you what I'm talking about. Oh, maybe I don't have the light.
What are these right here?
Sorry. Oh, this is my signature. So this is the character for Uchikura Uchi, and then that's 23. So the year that was made.
Nice.
Anyways, these ones are not translucent at all, so you won't see any light go through these guys, but you will on that. Yeah. You could probably make a lampshade out of that material.
That is so neat.
Quite satisfying.
Very cool to see. Wow, this has been amazing.
It's just some of the collection. I've got like, I don't know how many of these Tupperwares that I've accumulated now. There's probably close to 20 of these things lying around all over the place, but
that's so cool.
Yeah.
And all of these we can kind of check out on your Instagram? Right?
Most of them, yes. I am kind of in the process of getting a website made. I've been saying this for the last 3 years. But anyways, Rod is going to be probably helping me with that.
Okay, yeah, a mutual friend.
And yeah. So hopefully I get that up within the next couple months or so. Anyways, I'm hoping this month, but yeah, we'll see what happens.
Okay, well, I think that's going to be all the time that we have as well too. Thank you again so much for just showing off everything. This translucent thing I think really attracted Perry.
Oh yeah.
I think Perry might be talking to you a bit later after this as well too. But thank you so much folks for tuning into the Windy City's Finest. I'm Clark, he's Perry. Gary, why don't you send us off?
See you later.
It's Clark and Perry on the case. Da-na-na-na. Clark and Perry. Do what it takes. Da-na-na-na. Clark and Perry. Investigate.
The activities and interests of local artists in the Windy City's Finest throughout both Lethbridge and Medicine Hat, Alberta. Available on TELUS, Optic TV, On Demand, VidFlex, YouTube, and more for limited time only. Terms and conditions apply.
Da-na-na-na.